I've scaled some of my businesses to 6 figures a month and also helped other people to get their businesses from basically nothing to pretty decent levels like these guys right here. For example, I took Jordi from 2K a month to more than 50K a month. And I've noticed that there's a critical point that almost all businesses reach as they grow sooner or later, that if you do not know how to handle this critical point, you can easily get stuck here. You will not be able to scale. And if you stay in this zone for too long, it could even drag you down and destroy the business completely. As dramatic as it sounds, I've seen it happen before. And basically, this is the critical point where you have to transition from building a job to building a business. Because most people who have an online business, they don't realize this, but what they have actually built is a glorified job, not a business. Absolutely everything depends on them. They are the core input to the business. If they don't work, there's no growth. And if they want to scale, they have a growth ceiling because they do not have enough hours in a day or enough energy to serve more customers. So what you need to do here is to build an actual business by hiring people and delegating responsibilities so that you can serve more customers and you can serve them better. Now, hiring people and delegating responsibilities, this is easier said than done because most people I meet who have an online business, they really struggle with this. So the whole question is, how do you do it? And more importantly, how do you do it the right way? I want to explain this from more basic to more advanced because there's many of you watching this video at different levels. So we're going to do this in 3 steps. Number 1 is going to be how to get started and how to identify the first positions that you need to fill in. Then number 2 is going to be how to find the right people for small tasks. So basically outsourcing with freelancers, VAs, all that stuff. And then number 3, how to find and identify the right person for the important and big things. So basically hiring for positions that are more advanced, like for example, project managers, tech leads, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about what is it that you need to look for and what are the personality traits of someone who is capable and could have a positive impact on your business. So let's quickly cover the whole spectrum. Number 1, how to get started and identify the first positions that you should find someone for. The first positions I would recommend you to get started with are the positions that have no leverage, that do not have a direct impact on the growth of your business, and that are taking you more than 30 or 45 minutes a day of your time. So for example, with almost all the online businesses I've ever had, one of the first positions I usually get someone for is customer support. Because customer support, the only thing that it helps you do is to prevent a downside. It helps you prevent refunds and customers canceling orders, but it's not going to help you scale your business. It might slightly help with LTV, but that's about it. It's way more important that you invest your time, for example, on making better marketing campaigns and running new ads or improving your product or improving your offer, whatever. Things that actually have leverage and will scale your business. Maybe in your case with your business, you might not need customer support. Maybe it's going to be something else, but still, you just gotta free yourself from wasting time on activities that do not help you grow your business. If you're still small and there is some task that maybe is taking you like 10, 20, 30 minutes a day, maybe it's fine if you still do it yourself, but get people on your team as soon as possible. Because learning how to find good people to work for you is a skill that has a lot of depth. And there are a lot of costly mistakes that come with hiring the wrong people. So the sooner you start to learn how to find, identify, and hire great talent, the better. And in my opinion, getting started with these small positions is a good way to start to get some practice and start developing this skill. And it's very, very low risk. Now, number 2, how do you go about finding these people for these small positions? Like, how do you go about finding people for outsourcing with freelancers, VAs? First of all, these are very easy to find. There are lots of websites. Honestly, if you don't know any, you can just Google it or ask ChatGPT. For example, number 3 right here, onlinejobs.ph. I've used this one so much. Here I found great people for jobs that are simple and easy to learn, jobs that don't have that much depth to it, like for example customer support or how to do product research or make product pages, even some video editors for minor things, and much more. Now, the way I like to do it is to set up a job posting explaining what is it that I'm looking for, and then make it so that in order to apply, they have to complete a test. And this test basically represents the job that they would have to do for me. So for example, when I wanted video editors, when I was doing e-commerce, I would give them a few photos of a product and tell them the style of video that I wanted. And basically the test was to make a video that hypothetically we would run as an ad to promote this product right here. And I would get hundreds and hundreds of applications. I would go through them all, and basically the one that got the job was the one that I liked the most. Something interesting is that the product that I gave them for the test is a product that I had already sold successfully. So I already know what a winning video for that product looks like, which makes it way easier for me to analyze how good or bad these videos are. Now, for some things, you might not need a test, or the test might be slightly different. So for example, if you're hiring someone for customer support, basically the only thing that you would do is to get on a call with them, and if their English level is good enough and their communication skills are good enough, that's about it. It's basically not that deep. Some of the personality traits that I will explain to you when I talk about point number 3 might apply to also outsourcing, but it is not as necessary. Now, when it comes to finding the right person, you really need to be patient, and do not be afraid to try someone for a few days or a few weeks, and if you don't like them, just let them go. Sometimes it can happen that you get someone who seems like they have great potential and they meet all the requirements and they did great on the test, but then they actually start working and they're not that good at it, like something isn't clicking. So do not be afraid and just let them go, no matter how good they seemed at the beginning. Also, one thing that I would recommend you, highly recommend you to do, is to have an internal training program that all the people you hire go through. I've made my own custom private internal courses for people who work for me on all sorts of things, like a course on how to do customer support, a course on how to do video editing for e-commerce, a course on how to do product research or how to do web design and product pages, etc, etc, etc. These mini courses, they usually are like 1 hour long, and it's gonna teach them everything they need to know about their job, like how to do it, how I like it done, what are all the tools that they need, how the tools work, all the problems that they could possibly face and what to do about them. Like everything they need to know is explained here. And these are really important to have so that every single time that someone new joins your team, whether it's because you're just growing the team or maybe you're replacing someone, okay, because this is going to happen, like someone might leave and you might need to find someone new. It's very important that you have these courses so that you don't have to personally train each person that joins the team, because that's a big waste of time, right? So if you have these courses, every time someone joins, you can just point them to the courses, they can go through it and immediately know everything they need to know without you having to waste your time and spend energy on it. One thing that some people like to do, although I'm not a fan of, is that the first person that you ever hire and you train them, you just record everything that you teach them, and those recordings serve as the courses. I don't like to do that because then it's not a premeditated course that you're actively thinking about all the things that they need to know, because you're doing it on the spot. It's very common and I see it a lot, like you miss some stuff, you forget to explain this thing or that thing. So my personal taste and how I like to do things is to actually sit down, think about it, everything they need to know, explain it the right way, do it very polished, very clean, very well presented, and that's it. Do it once and do it nicely. Now, let's move on to point number 3, which is the most interesting one. What about the positions that are more advanced for someone that you might want to hire full-time for? First of all the other things that I have said so far still apply to this. So you could potentially find someone full-time for some advanced task in some of these websites. You should be really patient about finding the right person. You should test them for a few days or a few weeks first. You should have those training videos. Like everything that I've mentioned so far still applies. Now, on top of that, what I would recommend you to do is what I call a 3+1. So there are 3 major personality traits that you need to find in their character, plus one more special thing that, depending on the situation, it might be more optional or just not necessary. It depends. Now, for the 3 character traits that a good hire must have, number 1, the foundation of absolutely everything is integrity. Someone who is trustworthy, someone who's not gonna screw you over, someone who treats you and your business with respect. If you don't have this, if you don't have integrity, it doesn't matter how well qualified they are, how smart or intelligent they are, how much of an action taker they are. It absolutely does not matter. Integrity is the foundation. That's why this is a pyramid, and I've put it here at the bottom. One of the best ways to know if someone can have integrity is by deeply understanding the dark tetrad personality traits. So that is narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and sadism. And if you deeply understand them and you know how to quickly read them on people on the spot, you can accurately assess how much you can trust somebody. Inside my private community, I have an entire module where I teach how to read people like a book based on the dark tetrad plus another 5 personality traits. So a total of 9 traits. And inside this module, I teach in a very practical way how to accurately read people within seconds. And once you learn this, you will be able to identify whether someone is a good hire, bad hire, good business partner, bad business partner, or even like this skill goes beyond business and hiring and all of that. You can even use this skill to identify who's a good friend, who's a good romantic partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, acquaintance. Like this skill right here, you can use it to assess all kinds of relationships. I would honestly say that out of all the content that I think I've created online and all the things that I have shared, this skill right here, in my opinion, is the one that has the most practical value and has the most potential to significantly and quickly change someone's life. Because the people you surround yourself with are the biggest factor in determining how your life will go. So if you know how to create a good social circle around you, whether it's with your friends or the people you date or marry, or the people you hire or do business with, that is kind of one of the safest ways you can guarantee your future. So it might be the number one most important thing you need to learn how to do. If you're interested in taking this module, I have a link to join my private community in the description or the pinned comment below. This is somewhat long to explain. I think this whole module is like 1 hour long, and that's why I'm telling you to go learn it there instead of me explaining it here. So go check it out if you want to learn this thing. Now, after integrity, we have energy. And this is absolutely crucial. There's a lot of people nowadays who are low energy. What you need are people who take action, people who are naturally motivated, that they get things done, and ideally that they're not super afraid of failing. Now, this doesn't mean that they're just like blindly shooting, and jumping and doing crazy things, but it just means that they don't get stuck due to overthinking or laziness. They always keep moving forward. And then the third trait is intelligence. IQ. IQ matters a lot. If you have someone with integrity and energy, but they're dumb, you have those blind shooters that I was just mentioning. Some people don't like to hear these, and I'm not gonna waste my time explaining why and all the science behind it and whatever, but like IQ matters. If IQ didn't matter, we would just hire monkeys. So don't believe all these BS that people say nowadays, like intelligence doesn't matter. It absolutely does. And what you want is to have these 3 simultaneously. Okay, you want someone smart, high energy, who takes action with integrity. If you only have 1 or 2 out of these 3, then you will run into problems. Now, the extra thing that I mentioned right here is competence/skill. The reason why I set this aside is because, first of all, I don't consider it a direct trait to their character. And also, if you have someone who has those 3 traits, but they don't have that much experience, people who are smart, and they take a lot of action and they have integrity, they can learn fast. So you could just train them. Also, sometimes someone might not have direct experience in the thing that you're hiring for. So for example, going back to customer support, if you hire someone who has never done customer support before, but for example, they worked at the reception of a hotel dealing with customers and taking phone calls and all of that, like that's basically the same thing. They're gonna do well if you put them in customer support. So it's because of these things that I put it as something that's more like a side and maybe sometimes not always 100% necessary, but depending on what you're hiring for, it might be absolutely necessary, right? If you're hiring like a tech lead and or someone to program and to code, like 100%, they need to have experience coding. They need to have those skills. You cannot afford to waste 1 or 2 years training them until they learn how to code. I personally believe that this lack of knowledge on how to build proper teams is very common in the online business world, and people in the traditional business world still have much more experience and wisdom when it comes to this. So if you can couple the skills from the traditional business world when it comes to building great teams, plus all the cool things that those of us who are in the online business world know maybe a little bit more about, like direct response marketing, I think you can do really well and you can easily win against your competition. So anyways, that's it for this video. If you found it helpful, subscribe, because I post videos like this fairly often. Also, go check out my private community if you want to learn how to read those 9 personality traits that I was just talking about. And that's basically it. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Have a great life. Peace.